Welcome back to Primary Report, brought to you by the New South Wales Farmers Association. Well, this week's program has been all about a rally due to occur in a couple of days on the 2nd of February in Canberra. The rally is a property rights rally, and I thought I'd best speak to someone who will actually be attending, how they've been affected and what legislation is hampering their capacity to farm. I spoke with Bronwyn Petrie. She's a farmer in the north of New South Wales and also an executive councillor of the New South Wales Farmers Association. Her relationship with the 2003 Native Vegetation Act has not been a good one. This is her story.
My family have been in that Penrith district since 1860. My husband is fifth generation and our only son, of course, is sixth. That means, and what they have done on their land is they have retained large areas of native vegetation, which they have managed as part of the integrated stock grazing regime. They've kept that timber for on-farm use, for sale and for stock and pasture shelter. Now, in fact, in keeping that timber, they had to fight governments to do so because of the previous direction by government to clear most of your land. Now, we have sold timber off one particular place as whole logs to sawmills, and off the other country we sell posts for other farmers, to fence posts, etc., and strainers. That all changed with the Act in 2003.
So basically what you're saying is prior to 2003, timber was a source of revenue for your operation?
Yes, look, like many farmers in our position, a lot of graziers across the state use timber as part of their integral management, and that timber is used not just as part of a normal harvesting schedule, but as financial security for drought, illness, hard times, retirement. And so that country has been managed and maintained and looked after, and those trees have been protected from bad fires and weeds and all kinds of things. But they're also very integral to the stock. Now, with SEP 46 and the earlier Act in 1997, we were able to continue doing our normal harvesting because it was classed as an exemption, and that it was a routine practice. The Act in 2003 altered that because it defined timber harvesting as broad-scale clearing of remnant vegetation, got all the recommendations of the reports leading to that. We actually could no longer continue in as of February 2008 because that's when the code of practice that came in under the regulations came in force.
Okay, so since 2003, you've been hampered by this legislation, and in what sort of, in most simple terms, how has it affected your farming operation?
Since the Code of Practice for Private Native Forestry came in 2008, as a result of the follow-up regulations to the Native Vegetation Act, we cannot do any timber harvesting or sell any single plant or part of a plant off our land without having a private native forestry property vegetation plan. Now, in order to do that, we would have to agree to have to not harvest any timber, even for fence posts, across areas where we have threatened species exclusions, we have riparian or creek and buffers and exclusion zones. We have so-called old growth areas that have been mapped on our place, despite the fact that 2 sawmills were on site up until the 50s and 60s, and 3,000 to 6,000 people lived there during those sawmills and mining era. It's quite extraordinary that our property has over 30 threatened species and was held up as being well managed, even on the floor of Parliament. The previous minister said what a wonderful forest it was, and yet we are unable to sign up to a property vegetation plan because of the extensive restrictions we would have, which would only let us have very small area of commercial quality timber to access. But in doing so, the government has, in their wisdom, said that the land available for private native forestry is for forestry purposes only, and they've restricted the use of the routine agricultural management activities that are available to all other farmers. And because we are stockmen first, we cannot sign up to this.
That was Bronwyn Petrie, one of the many farmers who will be attending the Property Rights Rally in Canberra. If you're interested in participating in the rally, call the New South Wales Farmers Association on 1300 794 000. Well, that's all we have time for today on Primary Report. I'm Lindsay Douglas, and we hope to see you on February 2 for the Property Rights Rally. For more information in the meantime, you can visit www.nswfarmers.org.au, and we'll be back with more rural news next week.